Hey everyone, what's up? Welcome back to Rupees Over Ramen, the show where we talk about animation, creativity, the creative process, and tons of other nerdy stuff. So what sparks this episode is this thing that someone told me. I was talking to them about like storytelling and Dungeons and Dragons and stuff. They're like, hey, think about it like this. Or like they kind of threw out this idea of like have your party, like the party, and we're talking about like running a D&D campaign, basically bringing together a group of people, running them through this story. Have your party run through your book as if they're the protagonist. And I thought about like writing something similar, writing a story that's like this group of people, and then have each person in the party be one of those people and then see what they do. But think about the things that you have your protagonist go through in a story that you're writing, and then have multiple people take that place, be those multiple different emotions or thought patterns that can happen in a story. And in that you can see if the story's interesting or not. I don't know. That just kind of like was super interesting to me. Dang, I always walk by this place where there's tons of cars. Yeah, but it was this interesting thing because I thought about stories like Harry Potter, and you have Harry Potter as like the main protagonist, but you also have Hermione Granger and Ron Weasley and like Draco Malfoy and Neville and like all these other characters, that there are these different perspectives on the situation. And if the story were to be told from their perspective, it'd be a totally different story. And I think that's a fascinating thing. Even like with Lord of the Rings, you have like Frodo and Sam and Merry and Pippin. It's mostly shown from the point of view of Frodo, but like what would it be from the point of view of Sam? Like his loyalty and friendship to Frodo. Or even like what if the story was told from the point of view of Sauron? Like it would be a totally different story. So point of view and perspective is a huge thing. And that's what I've seen as an artist too, and just like trying to be creative. Like today has been a day that I'm just feel like I'm just punching this wall and it's not going anywhere, or like pushing a boulder up a hill, it just keeps rolling back down. It's like perspective is super important. And if the thing that you're doing isn't working, then like stop doing that thing. Sounds simple, but if you keep doing the same thing and it's not working, then try something different. Like do something different. Stop what you're doing and try something new. And for me, that has shown in the form of be more playful, I guess, with my art and like having fun with it. And that goes into like doing traditional art and working in a sketchbook, possibly doing like more craft type art, like cosplay and stuff in that vein of creativity. Because I found that I'll go, and maybe you experience this too, you go to sit down at like your computer and you're trying to make this cool new thing, the new comic or like the new story that you're writing, and you just keep going into it like mind blank, just expecting something to come, and then it doesn't. And then it's frustrating because you're like, how am I supposed to get this done? And I find that there's things that we can do, creative exercises or like creative works or acts that are going to help us to get so much further along and kind of really spark that, like an idea or things along that line or in that nature. So like some of those things for me is like working traditionally, just pulling out a sketchbook and just sketching ideas, because there's no expectations, there's no like, doesn't have to be perfect, it doesn't have to be amazing. Or like recording this podcast, I'm walking and there's tons of traffic and cars, and it doesn't have to be amazing or perfect, to just getting those thoughts out and in a place that can be really powerful. And another thing that I found effective for sparking ideas is reading books, like physical books, can really kick into gear a part of your mind that maybe hasn't been used in a while. That, like, especially reading fiction, seeing like these little stories and like reading comics and stuff like that has really helped to spark my imagination. And just physical media in general has been really helpful to be that spark to this tiny flame, and just get that tiny flame going and keep it going. It can be really helpful and powerful. The third thing that I have found, I think this is number 3, is going and having experiences, spending time out in nature, even going for a walk can start sparking things, like seeing the trees and imagining characters or creatures or like spirits or whatever. Studio Ghibli has been like a huge inspiration for me, just like in the different spirits and Japanese folklore and the characters that Hayao Miyazaki has created have been really cool to see. And even like Legend of Zelda and like the little Koroks that are hiding around in Breath of the Wild, or those little like hidden rupees in the grass. Going out, you can find those little creative gems that are hiding out in the grass of life. And I don't know, it's just really powerful to go outside and to spend time. And I know it's summer right now, so it's hot, but like going for a walk has really just opened my mind. And today's been a day where there's not been a lot of like creative juices flowing and stuff, but going on a walk, going outside, that's number 3. That's been a really helpful thing for me to spark creativity in times when creativity doesn't feel like it is abounding or abundant. There's just tons of cars driving by, drowning out creativity. The fourth thing that I found that's really helpful in like sparking ideas and sparking creativity is having conversations about the things that you're working on, or even like this, recording a podcast or recording you speaking out loud your thoughts can help you to understand them better. And like some of the episodes on this podcast have been kind of brainstorming ideas for stories, and that has been super cool to try out and just really fun and invaluable, and just coming up with ideas and taking like a little bullet point thing that I have, a list, or just like a couple words, and changing that into something much more substantial, like expanding upon it. So yeah, that's number 4. That's been really helpful. For me, sparking creativity, it really comes from those things of creating art traditionally, just sketching and doodling, spending time out in nature, talking about what you're working on, and consuming or experiencing media, experiencing books, and especially fiction. Just like for me, reading through and listening to like the Harry Potter books again, and still working through that. But just finished like the Deathly Hallows, and that was just really cool, just seeing the story grow and develop, and see how much the story has grown from book 1 with the Sorcerer's Stone to that final book, and how J.K. Rowling has grown as a writer throughout that whole process. Has Harry grown as a character, Ron grew as a character, Hermione, all of the characters grew and had these character arcs. And it can just be super inspiring to see that in a place that's not digital. I love movies and like animation and stuff, but just having that physical thing that you can hold in your hand, especially like graphic novels and comic books, that's been really cool, just for sparking something, getting something going in my head, and helping me to come up with ideas from the ideas that people have already come up with, getting inspiration and building on the shoulders of the giants that came before you. one thing I want to try to do more is master studies, and that can be really helpful, where you kind of look at a piece of art and then you recreate that, and as you're doing that you see the strokes that the painter did, or see how the color palette was chosen, or like how all these elements come together for a good composition, and you can really learn a lot from it. So those can be really cool too. And if you've made it to this point, thanks so much for listening. The quest, I guess, the side quest that I give you, I'm like that guy on the road who's like, hey, here's a quest if you want to do it, is if it's been a while since you've like drawn in a sketchbook, or been a while since you've drawn or written, just set aside like 5 minutes and doodle or write. And you don't even have to do it like on the computer. Just pull out a piece of paper and start writing, start doodling without expectations, without having to meet any bar that anyone has set. And you'll be able to see that you still have a lot of creativity left in you, and you can refill that well of creativity. And the art and the stories that you create, those are things that only you can do. They're things that come from your experiences, from your point of view, your perspective, who you are, and your uniqueness in the universe. So remember to have fun with the art. That's the quest. Have fun with the art. Set aside 5 minutes to doodle in whatever medium that is that you want to doodle in, or that's been a while since you've doodled in. Doodle and dabble. Thank you again for listening, and if you enjoyed this episode, go share it with someone that you think it could be beneficial to, or someone that you think would like it, and rate the podcast. That helps a lot with getting it out there and sharing it with people. And love you guys. See you later. Have a great day. Peace.